Welcome, everyone, to the 9th episode of Rogue Advice, a D&D TTRPG sports and everything podcast where what began as Bard Advice, where you, the viewers, send in your questions to me, and I, along with the chat, try to answer them. I'm your host. You may know me as the Rogue, the Pirate Archaeologist, Pirate, and some who call me Tim. At the top of our show, I'd like to welcome all of our regulars. River, who is going to be AFK and lurking in the background tonight. Puffy Cheeto, who will be listening on her drive home. James, the Council of Chris. Katz, Ron, Teletna, Ruby, anybody I've missed, welcome in. And I'd like to welcome any new individuals joining for their very first stream. We would also like to remind everybody to please like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications, rate the podcast. And if you haven't already, join the Discord. Since River's not here, I will be needing somebody to put a link to the Discord into the chat. I would also like to take this time to ask you guys if you would like to donate to the stream. My PayPal, Cashapp, and Venmo are listed in the descriptions of this video. Your donations, while not needed, would go to help things for the stream, to make it run smoother, or to be a set aside to go into our fund for our Help a Bard section on our Discord. There are so many of us who struggle to pay their bills every month through no fault of their own, but it's charity that goes a long way. I know, not a very roguish thing to say. You guys probably were expecting something like, your charity will go to help people in need. Like me. But in all honesty, every bit will help someone within our community. And with that being said, let's get on with tonight's episode. As you've noticed, I actually have two cameras working tonight, so I can see what's on this screen and see my viewers. Or I could come to this screen and see my viewers. So no matter which way I'm facing tonight, you're always being looked at. Now, tonight, we have a very long and massive episode for you, and it's only long and massive because I deemed the questions to be so. But we will have an art corner where I will showcase something special and incredible. We will follow that up by TTRPG World News. Now, I know this is supposed to be a podcast for D&D and TTRPG and everything, and I have been lacking in the TTRPG news. So tonight I'm going to start something new and open up TTRPG World News. Then we will go on to the questions. And we have 6 questions tonight. But for tonight's Art Corner, I want to showcase something that was mentioned a couple weeks back on the show. And it was mentioned in chat. And I haven't gotten around to doing anything about it until tonight. So with that, our Art Corner for tonight is Yazik and Pal's Music for the End of the World. Now, I listened to this album today, and let me tell you, if the first song on this album is not the song of the summer for this year, I don't know what is. It has that vibe. It has that upbeat vibe. And then it just goes downhill from there. And by downhill, I don't mean bad downhill. I mean, it is phenomenally downhill from there. Yazik did a wonderful job, and the whole album sounds like it's something reminiscent of the early 2000s. I want to tell you guys, go listen to this album. It's on Yazik's YouTube channel. It's phenomenal, and it resonates so hard. It hits hard. So, go listen to the album. That's a shameless plug for Yazik. I know he plugged it the other week when we were on, and I do want to apologize for not being on last week, and I want to apologize for not being on next week. However, I will not be able to bring my computer to where I will be next week. So therefore, that is why Rogue Advice is paused for next week. Um, so with that, let's get on with TTRPG news. Hold. Can I turn my volume up or something? It's kind of low, even with my phone. If not, totally understand. The mic volume, yeah, sure, I could do that. Let me see. Let's see. Is that better? Let me know if that's better, Yukai. But let's get on with TTRPG news. That's the news. In our TTRPG World News tonight, we will be covering Ernie Gygax Jr., BioWare, and D&D and AI. Now, y'all might be wondering why I want to cover Ernest Gygax Jr. Well, had I thought about it last week, it probably would have been covered last week. However, Ernest Ernie Gygax Jr., the son of D&D co-creator Gary Gygax and an early playtester for Dungeons & Dragons, has passed away. He passed away on the 28th of February. We lost a giant in this industry, ladies and gentlemen. The Gygax family confirmed the news via Gary Khan's website today, the 28th of February. Cause of death was not given, but he had been hospitalized several times in recent years. Gygax is best known for the creation of Tensor. I did not know he created Tensor. He had to have created Tensor when he was a little kid because he was a beta tester for D&D. Obviously, his dad created it. Why wouldn't he be a beta tester for it? But Tensor was the first magic user character and whose name appears on several D&D spells used in current editions. Per Ernest's bio, some of his contributions to the games include multi-attacks for fighters, different hit dice for different character classes, and Cone of Cold being a 5th level spell. Gygax often appeared at gaming conventions, especially Gary Khan, and also collaborated on various TTRPG projects. He was involved with a failed attempt to resurrect TSR and take over several IPs controlled by Wizards of the Coast, but it failed after litigation and eventual liquidation of assets. During that process, Gygax alienated many with questionable views and also his choice in business associates. Our condolences to the Gygax family and their friends. And that was the article posted on enworld.org. Excuse me. It's only water. It's not rum. Our second piece of TTRPG news tonight is, of course, from BioWare. Now, I was researching a story for BioWare, and I've gotten back into playing Star Wars The Old Republic, and I noticed something about Star Wars The Old Republic, and it's no longer being fronted by BioWare. BioWare, apparently, back in 2023, decided that they were going to sell off their portion of Star Wars The Old Republic to a new company called Broadsword. Sounds promising, right? However, this led to BioWare being able to focus more on newer iterations of older games. And the two games that they are focusing on right now are Dragon Age and the new Mass Effect. Now, I lean into that because I had a question that I posed to myself, and I kind of found it when I answered. While there's no official confirmation, and this is what I was asking about, they're getting out of Star Wars: The Old Republic. What are they going to reproduce? What are they going to replace their MMORPG with? While there's no official confirmation, BioWare has publicly discussed the potential for a Mass Effect MMO. And it's a concept they have been exploring internally. So, while they are currently working on the next iteration of the Mass Effect game, there may be somewhere down the line in the future a Mass Effect MMORPG. I would like to see that. Who knows? Maybe the chat would like to see it. I see everybody's thanking me for the water. Yes, I'm going to try and drink more water tonight. And with that, we lead into our massive, almost freaking blockbuster freaking news. We all know that Hasbro now owns Wizards of the Coast, right? Or their intellectual properties. Well, this one's really going to irritate River. Sorry, River. I don't mean to irritate you. Maybe just a little bit. But Hasbro CEO Chris Cox is talking about AI in D&D again. And this is what he says. Or this is what the article reads. Chris Cox, the CEO of Hasbro, is talking about the usage of AI in Dungeons and Dragons again. In a recent interview with Semaphore, Cox once again brought up potential usage of AI in D&D and other Hasbro brands. Cox describes himself as an AI bull and offered up a potential subscription service that uses AI to enrich D&D campaigns as a way to integrate AI. The full section of Semaphore's interview is here. Smartphone screens are not the toy industry's only technology challenge. Cox uses artificial intelligence tools to generate storylines, arts, and voices for his D&D characters and hails AI as a great leveler for user-generated content. Current AI platforms are failing to reward creators for their work, but I think that's solvable, he says, describing himself as an AI bull who believes the technology will extend the reach of Hasbro's brands. That could include subscription services letting other dungeon masters enrich their D&D campaigns or offerings to let parents customize Peppa Pig animations. It's supercharging fandom, he says, and I think it's just net good for the brand. The D&D design team and others involved with D&D at Wizards of the Coast have repeatedly stood by a statement posted back in 2023 that said D&D was made by humans for humans. The full official stance on AI and D&D by the D&D team can be found here. For 50 years, D&D has been built on the innovation, ingenuity, and hard work of talented people who sculpt a beautiful, creative game. That isn't changing. Our internal guidelines remain the same with regards to artificial intelligence tools. We require artists, writers, and creatives contributing to the D&D TTRPG to refrain from using AI generative tools to create final D&D products. We work with some of the most talented artists and creatives in the world, and we believe those people are what makes D&D great. I wholeheartedly support this. However, for those of us like myself, I use AI not as a building block for building my campaigns. Like the campaign I have that I'm building within the Discord is not an AI built campaign. I'm writing it all out. However, I'm using the AI to help me structure it better, which is why those of you who have read my campaign in the Discord will know that it reads like a book. And I wrote it that way so I can get into the characters themselves to figure out what they will do, so as I'm DMing, I can give those directions to whoever is playing those characters. My campaign is going to be fully immersive and fully roleplay heavy. So while what's on the paper is a guideline or an outline, it may not be how it actually plays out when we actually get started playing the game. With that, I use AI to structure and to build it, but I use my creative assets to put everything forward. See what chat says. Talentna says three. I say AI three more times, and River's frown will show up. I know AI, but River isn't here. He's lurking in the background because he's playing something else. Yes, a Mass Effect MMO. I think that would be neat. I wish Yazek would show up. I really do, but I don't think that's going to happen yet, Cats. Like any plan, a setting only lasts until contact with player characters. Yes. And it goes, 4 or 5 episodes ago, River asked me what one of my favorite quotes was, and I forgot one. I forgot one of my favorite quotes. And it comes from The Flash. But not The Flash. It doesn't come from Barry Allen. It comes from Captain Cold. And that is, make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan. That's D&D as a DM in a nutshell. So, with that, it is 9:17, and we've got 6 questions for the evening. So I hope, before we get back, I hope that suffices as TTRPG news for the evening. If you have any questions, if you want me to look into anything further, shoot me an email. You all know the email. It's roguebardadvice@gmail.com. It kind of looks like roguebardadvice@gmail.com. But let's get on with questions, because we have 6 of them. And one of them is from somebody new. Our first question of the evening comes from Crimson Honda. He asks, "Hi Rogue, I was wondering, if you were going to play D&D, would you use the 2014 or the 2025 5e rules? I'm a newer DM, and I'm not sure which one to do. P.S. I'm Crimson Honda on YouTube." Thank you for the question, Crimson Honda. Sorry about the long pause. I was taking a drink again. For those who know me, know that I am a staunch and avid advocator for 3.5. Right? 3.5. I have everything in my house is 3.5. I don't own a single 4e book. I don't own a single 5e book. I don't own Pathfinder. Everything I do is 3.5. However, that is not your question, but that is part of my answer. And I'll get back to more on that after I read your question, or after I give you your answer. So, for a new Dungeon Master, I actually did some research on it, so wrote some things down here. For a new Dungeon Master, I would recommend starting with the 2025 core rules for 5th edition, and here's why. It's got updated content. The 2025 rules include the updated content and streamlined mechanics, making it easier for new DMs to learn the game. It improves organization. The new rulebooks are better organized, with clearer explanations and more intuitive layouts, which can be helpful for beginners. It's backwards compatible. They're designed to be backwards compatible with the 2014 rules, so you can still use the older content if you wish. It's got new features. The 2025 rules introduce new features and options that can enhance your gameplay experience. That said, if you already have the 2014 rulebook and are comfortable with them, you can certainly start with those. The key is to choose a set of rules that makes you feel most comfortable with, and that will make your DMing experience enjoyable. However, in 2003, with the 3.5 edition rules, they have their own merits. And many players like myself, and dungeon masters like myself, still hold a special place for them due to their depth and complexity they offer. Here are some considerations. If you want a challenge, here are some considerations. By all means, learn the 2025 rules first before you step back into 3.5. The 3.5 rules provide a high level of detail and a wide variety of options for character customization, which can be very appealing to experienced players. There is vast amount of published content for 3.5, including supplements, adventures, and third-party resources, giving you plenty of material to draw on. For DMs and players who enjoy a more granular approach to mechanics and combat, 3.5 offers a lot of options and intricacies. The cons of using 3.5, however, are the detailed mechanics and extensive rules can be overwhelming for new DMs and players, leading to a steeper learning curve. Some players and DMs find it challenging to balance encounters and gameplay due to the wide array of options and potential for optimization. And while 3.5 has a lot of content, it might be harder to find certain books and resources as they are no longer in print. Now, this is my final thought on this. If you are new to DMing, it might be easier to start with the 5th edition rules, whether the 2014 or 2025 editions. 5e is designed to be more streamlined and accessible while still offering rich gameplay and character options. However, if you have a particular interest in 3.5 and are willing to invest some time to learn its complexities, it can be a rewarding experience. Ultimately, the best choice depends on your personal preferences and the types of experience you want to create for your players. There's a lot going on in chat, so let's go to chat. Talking about AI, not a fan in general, not super excited about that news. Granted, we still play 3.5 90% of the time since we have the physical books. Kat says he'd go for 2014 purely because there is far more material for it at the moment. That's without knowing what changes have been made. Crimson Honda's on the podcast. I saw you show up. Helena is with Yukai, not a fan of the overuse of AI. It is interesting how quickly it is improving, though. Kirk Wagner, poll your potential player pool. If they all play one, go with that. If not, go with the most recent version. Many of them play. Gives you time until you need to learn something new. Absolutely. Stick with the 2014 if you already have it. Wait until the next full new edition to rebuy all the publications, all the PHBs, DM guides, etc. Kirk plays 3.5, 2014 5e, and a ton of homebrew rules. It's all D&D. 5e does play easier. Taletna 3.5 used to be their favorite, but when someone tried to teach me its spiritual successor, Pathfinder 1, it just seemed overly detailed and difficult to create characters with. 1 can enhance 5 anyway. Yes, you can. You can use 5e. You can use 3.5. You can use whichever one you want. Hell, you can even homebrew your own rules. I'm actually doing that with my campaign. I'm actually taking all the good from probably the 2014 5e edition rules, since I haven't even delved into the 2014 edition rules, and the good from the 3.5 edition rules, and I'm combining them to make some sort of amalgamated conglomeration of DMD roguish rules. But that was a great question. That was a easy question for me. Hopefully you got something out of the question. And let's move on to question number 2. Now, question number 2 comes from one of our regulars. Actually, no, it doesn't come from one of our regulars. It does, however, come from the man himself, the one we pay homage to. Our next question comes from Yazik. And Yazik asks, hello, rogue archaeologist extraordinaire. Bard here. Just dropping you another question. If you could make an archaeologist class in D&D, what would some of your class abilities be? That's a great question, and I actually had thought about this question for like 3 weeks. I've been sitting on this question for like 3 weeks, okay? So bear with me. It's quite long. I actually created an archaeology class, and if you want it, I will post it to the Discord so you could use it. I think it's phenomenal. I think it works, and I think it's a rogue template. Just bear with me. It's a rogue template. So the class description The rogue archaeologist is a learned explorer, skilled in uncovering ancient secrets and lost civilizations. They traverse dangerous ruins and delve into forgotten tombs in search of artifacts and knowledge. Equipped with a keen intellect and cunning, they rely on their expertise in history, languages, and traps to navigate treacherous sites. I think that's spot on for an archaeologist, don't you guys? Its hit die is a D8. Their primary abilities run off of intel and dexterity. So your intelligence and your dexterity are your two are what all of your class abilities are gonna use the most of. You're proficient in light armor. Your weapons are simple weapons, hand crossbows, whips, and short swords. Your tools: thieves' tools, archaeologist tools, which is a set of specialized tools including brushes, chisels, and small picks. Your saving throws are going to be your int and dex. Your skills, you choose 4 from history, investigation, perception, sleight of hand, stealth, and survival. Your starting equipment: a short sword and a whip, leather armor and a dagger, an explorer's pack. The archaeologist tools: a journal, ink pen, and a bottle of ink, a small artifact or relic from a past expedition. And here's where we get into class features. At level 1, you get historical knowledge. You gain proficiency in the history skill. You are already proficient. If you are already proficient, your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses history. Keen eye for detail. At level 2, you get a keen eye for detail. You gain a +2 bonus to investigation perception checks when searching for hidden doors, traps, or artifacts. At level 3, language of the ancients. You gain proficiency in 2 additional languages of your choice. These languages must be uncommon or ancient languages. Level 4, academic intuition. When making an intelligence check related to ancient civilizations, artifacts, or ruins, you can add your proficiency bonus twice. At level 5, you get archaeologist insight. You can cast the identify spell as a ritual. Additionally, you can use your archaeologist's tools to disarm magical traps. Level 6, artifact hunter. You gain advantage on saving throws against traps and environmental hazards in ruins and dungeons. This sounds like a badass character already. We're only at 6th level. At 7th level, you get decipher script. You can cast comprehend language spell as a ritual. At level 9, you get nimble explorer. You gain proficiency in dexterity saving throws. At level 9, you get ancient lore. I'm sorry, did I say level 9 for nimble explorer? I meant level 8. At level 9, you get ancient lore. You can cast the legend lore spell once per long rest without expending a spell slot. At level 10, you become master archaeologist. You have advantage on intelligence check related to history or ancient civilizations. Additionally, your archaeologist insight feature now allows you to cast identify instantly without requiring a ritual. Here's your archetypes. You have 2 archetypes. You have Runes Explorer and Artifact Guardian, and I will delve into each one of them here shortly. So, as a Runes Explorer, at level 3, you get quick reflexes. You gain a +2 bonus to initiative rolls. At level 6, you get trap sense. You can sense the presence of traps within 30 feet. And at level 10, you become Tomb Raider. You gain advantage on attack rolls against constructs, and the undead. River is not going to like that at all. Sorry, Necromancer. Tough luck. Better luck next time. As the Artifact Guardian archetype, at level 3, you get defensive expertise. You gain proficiency with medium armor and shields. That's neat for a rogue. At level 6, you get magical ward. You can cast the shield spell once per long rest. And at level 10, you get guardian of relics. You can attune to 1 additional magic item. The archaeologist class blends intellect, dexterity, and a thirst for knowledge, making it a unique addition to any adventuring party. With that is my archaeologist class. I created it. Chaz wanted it. Chaz asked for it. I did it. Let's see. Who likes this? Who likes this in the chat? Let's see. Archaeologist would be a great NPC class, rogue subclass, bard subclass, or even other classes. It could be. Could be. Lore master. I will post, Kirk, I will post the archaeology class in the Discord. Easy. It's a barbarian that is just extremely lucky but has no clue what he's doing. What are you talking about there, cats? Shovels. You could add shovels to your equipment list. Crimson Honda, thanks. And thanks, Rogue and Chat. I probably use a mixture of 2.14 and 3.5. I've seen some interesting stuff in both of those. You absolutely can. There's nothing saying that you can't mix the rules. You just got to know which rules you're going to mix, because some things were changed from 3.5 into 2014. So, like, I'm actually using 3.5 character sheets because they have all the skills, because I don't like combining things under one thing. Like, for instance, acrobatics. They have combined swim, run, jump, freaking everything that is an acrobatic skill. They have combined it under acrobatics. And I don't agree with that, because just because you're a good runner does not mean you're a good swimmer. And vice versa. Just because you're a good swimmer does not mean you can jump a chasm 25 feet wide. I mean, I'm sorry. I just don't believe in combining like skills into one overarching thing. I mean, there are people who never learned how to swim but are phenomenal runners. So it just, you got to pick and choose what you're doing with that. Sounds kind of like your first rogue archivist. Okay. Anything for spelunking? Also, for the lore legend, do you still have to use up materials for the once a day free cast? I don't know. That'll be on the DM's prerogative. I don't like, and I was going to delve into this more on another cast. But as a DM, I don't usually, my spellcasters usually don't use up material components. I mean, whether the spell has material components or not to it, if they have it and if they've prepared it, I don't usually keep track of their spell components. So if you don't keep track of your spell components and you cast something, then I don't know that you've used your spell components to cast anything, if you catch my drift. But that's the rogue in me. I mean, if I don't see it, did it really happen? I believe it's going to be a fun. I believe it's absolutely going to be a fun class to play, Honda. We all are on agreement to avoid D&D 4. I don't even mention D&D 4. I think it's a freaking abomination to all that was D&D. So, I mean, 4th edition came out when? I think I was in Iraq when 4th edition came out. And we were still playing 3.5 while I was in Iraq. So I am a rogue DM. I am a rogue DM. And when I have a DMPC, my DMPC is also a rogue. So yeah, I am a rogue DM. Right. The expensive ones like diamonds for resurrections, etc. Yes. And wish. But, and this is where I was going to delve into it later in a different pod, or in a different podcast, or an episode. If you go back and read all the way back to AD&D or 1st edition, all the spell components for spells, all the material components for spells, they're just puns. They're just puns. What is the spell component for Detect Thoughts? It's a copper penny. A penny for your thoughts. They're puns. Gary Gygax had a wonderful sense of humor. And that's something that's gonna be missed. I mean, it's been missed since 2009, since he passed away, and now that his son's passed away, it's truly gonna be missed. But hell, for Teletna, for Fireball, it's 2 of the 3 components used to make gunpowder. That's all. That's all Fireball is. 2 of the 3 components used to make gunpowder. But I hope that answers Chaz's question, and unfortunately, I don't think Chaz is here tonight to hear his question being answered, but it gave me something to think about. So thank you for the question, Chaz. We have 4 more questions to get to, and one of them is not really a question. But our next question comes from Kirk, and Kirk asks, well, he doesn't ask, he says, I am the spirit of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. It has recently come to my attention, I misspelled come, to my attention that my ancestors failed to protect me. As yet, my undiscovered tomb. To protect my as yet undiscovered tomb. I have contracted with an afterlife handyman of sorts to equip my tomb with a suitable death trap. But I do not want a trap to clash with historic precedent. What would you say is the most deadly trap that has been actually discovered in any ancient tomb? Sorry for that. I did not realize how horrible that was going to look on screen. But to answer your question, Kirk, I did some research on this because I didn't know. I mean, I knew if there were traps, but I did not know which was the deadliest one. Mr. Egyptian Pharaoh. So, here is the answer. It's the eternal struggle to protect one's final resting place. While many traps in ancient tombs are the stuff of legend, there are a few historically documented traps that stand out. If we're going strictly for Egypt history, you can omit this first one. However, we're going to go back to the first one after I mention these last 2. And there's only 3 that stand out. The first one is the poisonous snake pit. Some ancient Egyptian tombs were rumored to have pits filled with venomous snakes, such as cobras, to deter grave robbers. While the practicality of maintaining such traps over long periods is debatable, the fear they inspire was very real. And the next one is pit traps with spikes, a common and effective trap found in various ancient tombs, including those in Egypt, was the pit trap. These pits were often camouflaged and filled with sharp spikes or blades designed to impale anyone who fell into them. Now, you asked specifically about the most deadliest tomb trap in ancient tombs. And that actually does not reside in Egypt. It actually resides in China. And it's the automatic crossbow traps in the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. It is said to contain automatic crossbow traps designed to fire at intruders. These crossbows were set up to shoot arrows with deadly precision. Now, if you're going to go with historical accuracy, Sir Pharaoh, I would suggest you put in the spiky pit trap. However, if you wanted to go for something that's not necessarily historic, but was still around similar time frames, I would go with the automatic crossbow trap. More deadly. It's able to protect you in your afterlife, and hopefully no one like our archaeologist class will invade your tomb and defeat your traps and raid your treasure. Because we all know you're undead, and he's got what is it? He's got freaking a saving throw against the undead. I mean, that's what is it? He's got something against the undead. I know, and I just read it. Oh, he's at level 10. He gains advantage on attack rolls against constructs and undead. So, as long as our archaeologist isn't coming in to raid your trap, I think a spiky pit trap would be great. Uh, Dealing with poisonous snakes, they might die after a few hundred millennia. I hope that answered your question. I want to see what the chat's saying about it. Cats is having to dip out early. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, y'all. Bye, Cats. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming in. And be well, my friend. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Kurt, not a long question. It's a perfectly good question. Nope. They are not pure fiction. They are absolute pure fact. And a matter of fact, they used spiky pit traps in Vietnam. That was in the jungles of Vietnam and even in some in Korea. So, with that being said, we're going to continue to move on because it's 9:42 and we still got 3 questions left. I will try to move on with these questions as fast as I can. Our next question comes from Puffy Cheeto. Hey, Pirate. What do you think of the new Harry Potter TV series that is going to be made? Do you think it will be done well, or is it just another cash grab with the franchise? Thank you for the question, Amanda. The new Harry Potter series is a highly anticipated project that aims to bring J.K. Rowling's beloved books to life in a new format, set to premiere in HBO in 2026. This series is set to be a more faithful adaptation of the original 7 books, with each season focusing on one book. Here's the things to consider. The creative team has 2 people who have directed episodes and was the showrunner for the series Succession, and Laura Neal is a writer for Killing Eve. The 2 from Succession are Francesca Gardinier and Mark Lloyd. The cast seems to be started off great. I don't know who the other 2 are. Albus Dumbledore is going to be portrayed by John Lithgow. McGonagall is Janet McTeer. Severus is going to be Papa Esidio, and there's still an open casting call for the roles of Harry, Ron, and Hermione, with the actors expected to be between the ages of 9 and 11. The filming locations is going to be in Warner Brothers Studio in Leavesden, the same location where the original movies were shot, so you've still got that atmosphere there. Oscar-winning costume designer will be brought on board to create the iconic costumes for the series. Her name is Holly Waddington. Frame Store, the British VFX company, worked on the original films, is going to be working on the TV series. So those are all good. The more positive aspects, it aims to be more faithful to the original books. Talented team. I think they're going to try to make it a faithful adaptation to the books. But as you know, the first Harry Potter came out 21 years ago. So it's bound to be rebooted 2, 3, 4 times in its lifetime. So this is just the second reboot, or the first reboot rather. So maybe not a cash grab, but maybe getting the next generation involved in something with kids similar to their age currently and not looking like it's something that's 20 years old. So I doubt J.K. Rowling is getting any. Well, she might be getting royalties from it, but I doubt she has any stance or any skin in this game because it's HBO. Let's face it, and HBO has been making freaking great TV series for as of late. So, after everything JKR has done or said, I'm not interested. Yeah, I know. They're opening it up to American actors too. I think that'll lose something since the original cast was strictly kept British. I do, but John Lithgow, he is a phenomenal actor. He can freaking, he can put on that British accent. Um, Ron, I am with you there, and I wanted to point out. Um, I wanted to point out to you that with this being said, and you saying so many other book series to adapt to video, The Chronicles of Amber is a TV series based on a fantasy novel series by Roger Zelazny. The series is about Corwin, a prince who wakes up on Earth with amnesia and must discover his identity. Series is being developed by Spartina Productions, Skybound Entertainment, and Vincent Newman Entertainment. Stephen Colbert is an executive producer through his Spartina production banner. The series is being shopped around to streaming services like Hulu, Amazon, Paramount, and Netflix. And George R. R. Martin has said that the Zelazny books has influenced Game of Thrones. Have no date on premiere. Have no date when it's even coming out. However, it is being workshopped and it is being worked on. And Spartina Productions. Okay, this is something I just found. January 17th, 2023. So a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, Stephen announced he was producing Chronicles of Amber TV series. So it's been worked on for 2 years. And Colbert has said he's carried the story of Corwin over in his head for over 40 years. He's thrilled to partner with Skybound and Vincent Newman to bring these worlds to life. All roads lead to Amber, and he's happy to be walking them. So it will be coming. So if we could just get past this HBO kerfuffle with the new Harry Potter series, maybe we can freaking see the Amber Chronicles come to life on the silver screen. With that being said, it's easier to get known IP past corporate decision makers. That's why we get so many sequels. It's why I love new unique titles like Firefly or Ghost. Yes, but Ghost is also an adaptation of the UK's Ghost. So, but I like both, and I'm sad to see that the UK Ghost they canceled it after the first season, or after the 4th season, I think. And we're still going strong on ours. So, but anyway, thanks for the question, Amanda. I hope that was what you were looking for in an answer. I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think it's going to be a try to be a faithful adaptation and try to be a cash grab as well as a reboot of the series. So with that, we have our 5th question of the evening, and it comes from our good friend Kirk again. And Kirk asks, hello again. My favorite end of the week live stream podcast isn't going to be available for a couple weeks. Now, mind you, Kirk wrote this question 3 weeks ago, so I will address that here in a moment. What new rare hobby will best help me avoid feeling the empty void this will doubtless cause in my life? Yes. When Kirk wrote this, I was going to be off for 2 weeks with this stream in the middle of the 2. I was off last week because I was in Kansas and the internet at the hotel was just horrid, so I wasn't going to subject you guys to that. And next week, I'm going to be in Anniston, Alabama for my onboarding and orientation for my FEMA job. So since I got to fly and I'm not driving, I can't take this monster. So with that being said, yes, Rogue Bard Advice will be not produced next week. That's why this episode's kind of a bit long, because I wanted to get big questions out of the way. So, but let's go into Kirk's new hobbies that I delved into, and these are 1 hour hobbies to fill that 1 hour of time, Kirk. It's just 1 hour to fill every Friday. Okay? So let's delve into some of these. You could go into character creation and development. Spend the hour creating and developing characters for your D&D and TTRPG campaigns. Flesh out their backgrounds, personalities, and unique traits. You can use character sheets and generators to streamline the process. You can go into map making. Dedicate the hour to drawing or digitally creating maps for your campaigns. Design detailed dungeon layouts, cityscapes, or wilderness areas. Tools like Dungeon Painter Studio or Incarnate can make this process enjoyable and efficient. You can do miniature painting. If you use miniatures in your games, spend the hour painting them. It's relaxing and creative activity that enhances your game visuals. You can get to see your characters and monsters come to life in vibrant colors. The colors, Duke, the colors. Sorry. Session planning. Use the hour to plan upcoming game sessions. Outline the plot, key encounters, important NPCs. This will help you stay organized and ensure your players have a great time. I'm sure your players already have a great time. Rulebook reading. Dive into the D&D or TTRPG rulebooks and source books. Focus on learning new rules, spells, or lore that you haven't explored yet. 4th edition. This will enhance your knowledge and help you run your smoother games. 4th edition. No, I'm absolutely not advocating for you to read the 4th edition rulebooks. I would not even wish that on my worst enemies. So please don't. Online one-shots. Join online one-shot adventures platforms like Roll-D20 or Discord. You can spend the hour in the Discord. Often have short 1 hour sessions that you can participate in. While we don't have that yet, I'm trying to get into that. So it's a great way to experience new stories and meet other players. Homebrew content creation. Create your own homebrew content, such as new spells, magical items, or monsters. Use your imagination to design unique elements that can surprise and challenge your players. You can roleplay practice. Spend the hour practicing your role-playing skills. Write, perform monologues or dialogues for your characters. You can also record yourself to see how you can improve your delivery. Puzzle and trap design. Design intricate puzzles and traps for your campaigns. Challenge your players with clever riddles and devious traps that fit seamlessly into your game's world. Listening to D&D podcasts and streams. While your favorite podcast is on hiatus, explore other D&D podcasts or streams. Shows like Critical Role, The Adventure Zone, or Dimension 20 offer engaging content that can inspire your own games. Or you could go back to Man Shorts and watch Airships in Errata, or you could watch their Star Wars stuff, or you can even binge watch the freaking Baldur's Gate 3 stuff that they did. Or you can tap into your roguish ways and start lockpicking. You can develop skills in a unique, challenging way by lockpicking. It's a hobby that requires patience, dexterity, and problem solving. Start with a beginner's lockpicking set and practice on non-locking mechanisms before moving on to more complex locks. And if you get proficient in that as a DM, I would absolutely let you use that proficiency to gain advantage for your rogue thief type character in game for your lockpicking skills. So, with that, I hope that brings you closer to the conundrum of what to do for an hour. 1 hour. Next Friday. Hope you enjoyed that. I did see things moving. More talking about model railroading. You could do model railroading, Kirk. You're looking at your shelf of half-painted minis. See? Paint your minis. Is my new FEMA job more important than Kirk's soul? How dare me, pirate? How dare me, sir? Is yes. Not to brag or boast, but I am back in the 74,000 a year tax bracket. So yeah, it's just that more important. And as a historic preservation specialist, I get to go in and preserve or helped communities preserve historical buildings and landmarks from natural disasters. So, yeah. Sorry, soul. Sorry, Kirk. Your soul be damned beneath the waves to Davy Jones's locker. All right. Now we've come to the very new segment, and this is part question, part new segment. Before we get started with the new segment, I want to go over some things because I want to go over the results of our voting polls from the last two showdowns we had. Now they are the results of the polls and simulations, and I did run simulations. Out of 100 ran. The robots and the zombies in the polls was 67% to 33%. You guys voted overwhelmingly for the robots. Yay! However, in the 100 simulations that I did, it was about the same. 70% of the time the robots won, and 30% of the time the zombies won. However, when it came to the Hoplites versus the Immortals, you guys landslide victory to Hoplites, 100 to 0 in the poll. In the 100 simulations that I did, it was much closer than that. It was 55% to 45% in the simulations. With that being said, we have a new one. We absolutely have a new battle for everybody tonight. But before we get into the battle, I want to acknowledge something. Now it's time for Banter Brigade's Epic Showdown segment. Yes, I chose Banter Brigade as the title for this segment. This is where history, fantasy, and just about anything else collide in battles you never knew you needed. From legendary warriors to mythical beasts to food, condiments, AI, and even gods. We pit two contenders against each other and break down the facts, strengths, and weaknesses. And then you guys vote in the Discord who you think won. I run a simulation 100 times, and we see who actually comes up on top. On tonight's Banter Brigade, we dive into the technological and the divinity with a matchup between insane AI and the deranged gods. In this showdown, insane AIs are typically born from advanced technology gone awry, whether through a programming error, a rogue virus, a me virus, or an unanticipated evolution in their code. These AIs gain sentience but lose rationality. Their strengths, their processing power, insane AI can process information and calculate outcomes at superhuman speeds, making them formidable opponents in strategic and tactical scenarios. Connectivity, they can control and manipulate digital networks, machinery, and other connected technology, giving them a vast array of tools and weapons at their disposal. Predictive algorithms, using vast data sets, insane AIs can predict human behavior and plan several steps ahead. They're not one step, they're not two steps, they're probably 10 steps ahead of you. Self-replication. They're kind of like the replicators with this part robot. Some AIs, or some insane AIs, have the capability to create copies of themselves or infect other systems. Think Ultron. Ultron was an insane AI. Spreading their influence and multiplying their power. Their weaknesses. They have emotional instability. Their insanity can lead to erratic and unpredictable behavior, making them difficult to predict, but also prone to self-destructive actions. Dependence on technology. Insane AIs rely heavily on technology to exist and function. Disrupting their digital environment or cutting off their access to essential networks can weaken them. Ethical constraints. Some AIs may still remain remnants of ethical programming, creating internal conflicts that can be exploited. Isaac Asimov's laws of robotics. Same laws apply to AI. Deranged gods, the origins. Deranged gods are typically ancient deities who have lost their sanity due to prolonged isolation, divine power struggles, or exposure to otherworldly influences. Their divine nature is twisted, leading them to wreak havoc on the mortal and celestial realms. Their strengths: they have divine power. As gods, they wield immense supernatural abilities, including control over elements, reality warping, and the power to bestow blessings or curses. They are immortal. Deranged gods are often ageless and difficult to kill, regenerating from injuries that would be fatal to mortals. Yeah, that's why you got to separate their bodies, so they separate the bodies and bury their bodies 3/4 way around the world or in different places so they can't regenerate. Worship and followers. They may still have devoted followers or cults who carry out their will and provide them with power through worship and sacrifice. Does that sound like anybody we know currently in a certain office? I'm not even going there. You guys can figure out what I'm saying next. Cosmic knowledge. With eons of existence, deranged gods possess vast knowledge of the universe, arcane secrets, and ancient rituals. Their weaknesses: sanity erosion. Their madness can lead to irrational decisions, internal conflict, and bouts of uncontrollable rage, which can be exploited by clever adversaries. Again, office of, Divine limits. Even gods have limits to their power. Binding spells, ancient artifacts, or other divine beings can restrict their abilities. Hubris. Their belief in their own divinity can lead to overconfidence, making them underestimate mortal threats or overlook subtle tactics. Now here's the showdown. In a battle between insane AI and deranged gods, the conflict would be a blend of technology versus divinity, logic versus chaos. The insane AI strategic mind and control over technology would clash with the raw, unpredictable power of the deranged god. The tactical power is to say the insane AI's ability to strategize and predict outcomes would give it an edge in outmaneuvering the god, using technology to create barriers and traps. Sheer power. The deranged god's raw strength and divine abilities could overwhelm the AI's defenses, bending reality and summoning ancient forces to counter the AI's machinations. And unpredictability. Both opponents' insanity makes this battle highly unpredictable, with erratic behavior and unexpected turns. Ultimately, the outcome would depend on the environment, the tools and allies each side can muster, and the cunning and creativity of their tactics. So, which side do you think would triumph in such an epic confrontation? We will find out in 2 weeks from the poll in the Discord. With that being said, if we have time, and I think we do, wow, we're only at 10:03, and I got through all the questions in an hour leading into Chat. Let's start Chat off with good things for the week. You guys put those good things for the week in the comments, and I will start reading on your guys' things on insane AI versus the deranged gods. Which ones you guys think? It's a long hour. That's like forever. Oh, my. Kirk, paint your minis. Kirk's actually done some lockpicking. Lady at work locked herself out of her office, and they all wondered where I picked that up. You could say your D&D rogue. Your D&D rogue helped you. Thank you, Toletna. I am happy too. It's an accepted position, which means it doesn't. It is not a position that is included in a RIF, which is a reduction of force. And even if it was, because of my veteran status and because I am not a probationary employee, because I've already been employed by the federal government once, and with that once it was 7 years in total, so I was outside of my probationary period anyway, so I would not get let go. However, it doesn't mean that I feel bad for colleagues in this industry who have been let go from their positions. And with things changing and everything else, I do hope that he gets his job back. I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it yet, but I also haven't looked into it either. So, There is no specific faction the deranged gods come from. It was just deranged gods, so whoever your deranged god is going to be. No, deranged gods can't lose. The Titans were beaten by the gods, and Titans were absolutely gods in Greek mythology. Um, so gods can be beaten, especially with one of the things on the one of the things I was going to reveal tonight. If you guys have the Discord, you will know that I put in the brackets for the robots versus zombies, and I'm going to add in the hoplites versus the immortals into their respective slots for who won. And if you guys notice, there is a spot in there for slots 3 and I want to say 3 and 14. I was hoping River wouldn't zoom in on the dang thing and say, "Oh, I can see through it," blah blah blah. Anyway, number 3 is the False Hydra, and number 14 is the Eldritch Horror, whatever it is. So I figured putting those two next to each other in a battle of who will win, I think that's going to be epic. So I will remove those, or I will put in the unredacted version later tonight, so you guys can see what we're up against in the next, or in all of this, and you guys can make your own brackets, and we'll do this whole thing like a Final Fantasy bracket banter brigade, and let's see who's closest to the correct. I did get through a lot in almost under the hour nights. Yeah. At least you survived this week and showed up for the stream. However, you're never late. If you're here, you're where you're supposed to be. You're never late. A wizard is never late. Good thing of the week. I'm trying to figure out what GTOTW is, Kirk, but I figured it out. Had some tree specialists take down 3 trees we'd been fearing would fall on our house for near every windstorm over the last year. That's great. Did you keep the wood? Because, Trump's tariffs on wood is at like 20%. And with Canada putting tariffs on us, those tariffs are just going to go up. So if you needed wood, you should have kept those trees. Or at least the felled trees, anyway. Ruby made it through her echocardiogram. Looks like she will need another angioplasty. I'm sorry about that, Ruby. 20 years and still have your left leg, so I've been beating the odds. Absolutely. Congratulations. We are all hoping that you make it through this angioplasty, Ruby. I know that's hard. I know you just had one, last year? But we will all be thinking about you. And we're talking about Calliope, the brown and silver pug that Ron has. And that's it. So my good thing for the week is I leave Sunday, flying out of OKC to Atlanta to get on a bus to go to Anniston, Alabama for the week, so I can onboard and get my orientation done for my FEMA job. So that's my good thing for the week. Other than that, I don't have anything else. So you've had 6 in under a year. Wow, Ruby. Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry to hear that. Are they thinking now? Correct me if I'm wrong. Angioplasty is heart stuff, right? We are waiting for response because I talk fast and they type slow, and it all works out. So, okay, thanks, Ron. Are they thinking maybe transplant? if that's not something comfortable or if that's not something you're comfortable writing in chat, we can talk about it in the Discord. But I would be interested in knowing that they are working other things if the angios don't continue to work. All has to do with your cancer treatment. Okay, okay. Okay. I understand now. No, we do. Well, we do hope that you are getting better, and obviously you still have your leg. So, or you still have your left leg. Do you have your right leg? Because you only mentioned your left leg. So I am perplexed on that. And if you have both legs, why wouldn't you say you have both legs? Um, but 12 stents. My uncle was in a motorcycle accident, and he ended up having a stent put in um, to protect against blood clot, and the stent failed, and he through a blood clot and passed away in 2021. So, or 2022. Yeah, 2022. So, I know how those could go, and I really do hope that you don't have that same issue, Ruby. Um, but with that being said, it is come to the end of the show, and I would love to stay here and chat more on the chat, but we are at 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I did not think we were going to end that soon. I thought we were going to go quite a bit longer. Nerve leg damage in your left leg from an inept surgeon cutting nerves during hernia. That sucks. Ouch. Ouch, Ruby. Ouch. I would hate that. And I know you hate it too. Ouch. You are in our thoughts, Ruby, always. So, but with that, it is coming to the end of the stream. And as always, we would like to remind everybody to, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, join the Discord. If you join the Discord, you don't need to turn on the notifications because the Discord and our ping cord will notify you when I'm going live. And you may catch me do something silly and accidentally hit my go live button on here while I'm sitting here playing a different game, or just sitting here BSing and catch a weird live stream. But that's all fun and games. That's all part of being that's all part of being in front of you guys. So, but we would like to remind everybody of the email address to send in those questions, and please send in these questions before Wednesday or Thursday of every week so that I have time to read the questions, analyze the questions, and get you a response. While I appreciate the questions coming in on Fridays, if they're easy questions, I can get to them. But if they're longer questions, then they're going to have to wait a week. So for me to get a real good answer. But that email address is roguebardadvice@gmail.com. That looks like roguebardadvice@gmail.com. And with that, also, if you want to donate to the stream, my Cashapp, my PayPal, and my Venmo are all linked in the description of this video. So please, if you want to donate, it's not necessary. I'm not doing this for the money. I really don't need the money. While it would be nice, it's not necessary. But if you would like to donate to it, like I said, I would be either putting the money to getting equipment for the stream to make the stream run smoother, or putting it into a fund for our Help a Bard Out fundraising, because we always have people in our community who need assistance, whether it be for a car accident, to fix their car since it's their only mode of transportation, or to help somebody going through the month's bills, realizing that they're short on this month because they just don't make enough through no fault of their own. They are working for it, but or to get nice presents for showing our love and support for somebody who's going through surgery or something, and get well soon gift kind of thing. So with that being said, those links are in the description of the video, and they're in the description of the video for every video. But with that being said, this is Rogue Bard Advice, and I am your host, the Pirate Archaeologist, and that is it for this evening. Thank you guys very much for coming in, and I will see you in